my God, my fish. Oh, my fish is sick. The water's cloudy. pH is wrong. Can't get this tank cycled. So naturally, I just hear on the internet. 10 minutes later, 10 products. Change my water. Don't change the water. Should I add the salt? Oh my God, they told me I should get a Pleco. Welcome to the Wet Floor, guys. Tonight we're talking about aquarium myths, viral advice, Facebook trends, TikTok, and things we learn from fish keepers each and every day out there on the internet. Some of us that we learn depends entirely on our aquariums and what we have going on. And there's so many different things that we can learn out there and so many different ways we can take this. And each and every one can bring you down a different hole. Tonight, the internet told me to do it. Welcome to the Wet Floor, everybody. How are you guys today? Right on. Good evening, guys. How are you?
Good. How's it going, everybody?
It's going good here. How about you?
Fan-flippin-tastic.
Fan-flippin-tastic. How are you today, Tina?
Today is wonderful. I got a new set of angel babies that I didn't plan on.
Yeah, more angel babies. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's exciting things always with the fish tanks, especially when with you, especially learning new things here right now. And of course, I know for a fact you've been searching high and low lately on the internet and everywhere and asking advice from a lot of different people. And I am sure you too are getting different answers.
100%.
How about you, George, Ray? What do you guys got going on this week? Anything exciting happen?
No, this is about the most excitement I've had all week. So
yeah, I guess, that could be pretty good though. I mean, we could take that any way we want to. Yeah, I've just, it's been crazy here, you guys. Last week's show, I want to start off by thanking everybody who's watching us right now. Thanks, guys. I would consider that it was a pretty good success. We had a good turnout, and it was a very enjoyable time. Right on. Well, you guys.
Well, actually, I wanted to just throw into the chat in the beginning. I wanted to ask everybody while you're watching us right now, like, where do you guys go first when you need aquarium advice? Whether it's Google, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, wherever it is, just post up some information in the chat. We definitely want to know where you guys go to search for information when you're trying to research about your tanks, whether it be for maintenance, cycling, whatever it is. Just post it in there and where you go first.
Don't be shy.
Yeah. Don't be shy. You know, it's a lot different than it was when like Ray or when any of us were younger. You know, we all had to go to books. Now,
right? Encyclopedias.
We could go to the library is what I used to have to do. Go and sit and figure out what was the problem, or actually just read the books to get the information, and you know, try to recollect some of it as you went along.
Sometimes the fish stores were still trying to figure things out same time we were.
100%. I would say that I get my majority of information. I search on the internet and I try to find as many science papers as I can. Or I do go to Reddit to some of the specialty groups. That's my personal preference, I guess.
One of the great magazines I like is Amazonas. I don't know if you guys have seen that magazine, but no, holy smokes, that's an amazing magazine.
Thing is, though, is that when you go into all those places, though, how do you know what you're learning or reading is accurate? That's my biggest problem. How do I know what the heck I'm reading is real? Is it something that's officially good to use?
Right. How do you know?
I can't hear Tina the best, so I'll let
sorry.
you guys answer that. It's all right. It's definitely all right. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys do? I mean, maybe it's a little bit different for us, and we should be asking this to the chat, because a lot of us know a lot of people, so we have a direct source of a place to go. So you know, this is such a good topic for a podcast, you guys. a topic of discussion is, you know, the internet made me do it. Where do you go when you need advice first? I make calls a lot of time, to be quite frank with it. But like I said, I do use the internet here.
I use a lot of YouTube, quite honestly. There's not all pieces of YouTube that I go to. There's about 3 or 4 people that I watch on YouTube that I trust, and I think they have good information. So, but there are only those certain channels that I'll go to get good info. Some of them I'll go to for species information. Some of them I'll go to for, you know, DIY stuff. Back before we owned the store, you know, and then some of them are just, you got a big tank. How do they keep big tanks? So there's, like I said, there's 3 or 4 of them that I follow.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. You can get your information, you know, for different things from different sources too. Because some of the groups that I have came across are just, as far as I'm concerned, that they're all over and just not very good at all. I see somebody else is saying in chat that they cannot hear Tina, so
Yeah, I think
maybe
she's resetting. She'll be
maybe
back.
she can get that fixed. Right on. Well, we'll get Tina back on here, and we can check and see a little bit here and see where some of the people in chat decide to go. I'm kind of curious.
Let me bring some of these up for you.
Right on.
Here we have Timo's Tanks 239. I always ask for I guess it's Facebook, or what is it? FMAS groups. I don't know, on Facebook.
FMAS is a local club here in Florida, down in South Florida, the Fort Myers Aquarium Society. I do know who Timo is. And yeah, we have we're also lucky in that aspect here. We have really big fish clubs, and we have a lot of you know, knowledgeable people here. So the fish club pages are a really good option.
So you guys hear me better now, by the way?
Yes. Just regular, like, yes.
We hear you loud and clear.
Right on. Tina's back, everybody. The whole show fell apart there for a couple minutes, Tina. We didn't know what to do. But, you know, we're reading a couple of the comments anyways here.
Chicas 2515 says Google.
Google, yeah.
Google's a pretty good source, but I'm curious to know, when people are using Google, does it automatically put you into Google Gemini, which is an AI thing? Or do you like scroll through Google to like look at websites, forums, and stuff like that?
Personally, I do a little of both. If I see a Google AI thing, I'll kind of look through it, and then I'm like, okay, is my BS meter going off? And if my BS meter goes off, then I scroll on down and see who's #1 on that list and see where it's at. Is it coming from a reputable page? And by reputable page, you know you learn who's good and who's not, right? Skip the sponsored ones because those people paid to be there. Go on down.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I kind of wanted to add to that is, what you got to get into the habit. A lot of people make the mistake of going to the first source, and the very first thing that pops up, that's what they go with.
Yep.
One of the things that I learned with time is that you have to check different sources, and once you start finding a consistency on the answer, then more than likely it's going to be a pretty accurate response. So that's why it's good to go to multiple, even if it's on Google, go to different sources within Google and try to find what are the commonalities that you're finding. Because then that's when you can start getting a better basis for having probably the correct information. What I constantly see is that people will go, and the very first thing that pops up, that's what they think that's automatically their solution, and that's what they base everything on. And I know, because I've had discussions with people, and it's kind of like, well, Google said this. Yeah, but how many Google sites did you check?
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy, because sometimes, especially when you get into some of the beginner groups and stuff like that, and people start to learn a little bit, they like to help, and you definitely can tell that's what they're doing, because I mean, you can Google some of the answers, and that's just basically what everybody's going to get for it too. That's a tough game too, because you know the internet's there, and a lot of people learn, like, that's where they learn from. And then you take the AI and the Gemini into effect and stuff, and that can be great for certain things. but it's only going to be as good as its source material it has to go through. So I mean, I don't know how it's ever going to learn what's good and what's bad about there.
So
I
the other
do
thing
know.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the other thing that you have to be careful about is as AI models start to learn websites and websites become more AI friendly, you're going to start to get more junk up in that Google Gemini recommendation. So be careful. A lot of people are now working on getting their sites to a position where AIs like to read them. And some of it is just more AI on top of AI. And so be careful of that and make sure you're going to the reputable sites, you're coming to the reputable podcasts like the Wet Floor, and getting good information. So just be cautious out there.
Right. I'm not against AI usage at all. I'm a tech person, so I love AI actually. But what people need to understand, especially beginners, because I see a lot of beginners using AI in aquarium building. Even I have touched on it in myself when I was building fish tanks because I wanted to see how accurate it could be. But the biggest key with AI alone is that if you don't prompt it well, it will. I won't say it gives you wrong information per se, but you got to remember that AI is crawling to all different types of sites and pulling all different kinds of things, and it may not give you exactly what you need for your tank. Sometimes it can be really cool. It can actually work really well, but then sometimes it can be really off. So anybody that uses AI for doing like tank building and stuff like that, it's okay to use as a tool. But I would still review and double check things with more reputable sources. And like I said before, like when you guys are mentioning about where you go, it's like, well, at that point it becomes like, well, how do we know what's reputable? How do I know that, so-and-so's YouTube is a reputable source? How do I know so-and-so's podcast is a reputable source? Like what makes it the advice you're getting from those people, what's making it reputable and strong enough to use? Like, how do you guys gauge it? I mean, not to say you're older than me, but you kind of are. Like what from your old time experience, what makes you really like when you look at somebody's podcast or TikTok or YouTube or something like that, like what makes you go, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about?
To me, it's all in the presentation of the material, right? And how are they talking about even minor things that you know are true? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have an example off the top of my head, but you listen for those bits of information, and if they're not correct on those little bits, how are they going to be correct on the bigger things, right? And then a little bit of technical ability. If someone's talking about how they're going to plumb a tank, I am not a plumber. I will never be a plumber. But the first rule of plumbing, I know it rolls downhill. And if they're saying you're gonna plumb this up and out of the tank, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of common sense you got to have in stuff, I think, when you're judging things, and looking at who's valid, who's not.
Jody, what do you think?
I just think that's just really, I mean, Ray says presentation, and presentation is great. And maybe if you kind of know what they're talking about is true, but I go on some of these groups. I'm really new to the internet and stuff, especially for fish keeping and stuff like that. And people present some pretty dang good BS, and they can back it with other BS, and they present stuff very well. Some of these videos or podcasts you'll see out there, or even some of the companies. So I just trying to find good and true information and how to know who to pick through and go through. In the beginning here, it didn't work that well for me. I tell the story often. I found Facebook groups and Fish Club like maybe 4 years ago it is now. I always say 2 if I say 2 because that's when I first started telling the story. And then that is when I first really got a good grip on it about 4 years ago, how to kill fish quickly, effectively also. By, well, these discus look not discus, but these fish look really super good here. Oh, they're breeding and I'm getting a lot of babies out of there. What can I do to get 3 more babies? Because somebody told me I'd get more babies if I had my pH set at this. And then I was on Instagram, and then this guy over there was saying my TDS is all whacked out of shape. So we better change the TDS. We're getting right back into our intro here. And guess what? There is a pleco in that tank too, and that didn't help either. As a matter of fact, production went down, and I'm chasing stuff that I don't need to chase. So I don't even know how to really tell people. I know there's some great sources out there, and we can link those in the bottom of the video in the description where you can get solid information from. I love Aquarium Co-op. Before I knew about the internet and this stuff, I knew about the Aquarium Co-op forums and how they're like just forums. So I had been in there. They have really good information there. Angels Plus, that's another good one. I guess I know who to trust because you know what? I ask you guys and I take a general consensus,
Right.
I really lean on Divide by Zero a lot. What's that?
No, Aquarium Co-op is definitely one of my faves too. I've definitely read a lot of their forums and stuff like that, and they have a lot of great information. And I like that they also incorporate a lot of science information, like any clinical research, things like that. They actually incorporate a lot of stuff. And I think of all the spots, I think I've read their stuff a lot more than most other places. Because they've had more accuracy, in my opinion. They've had more accuracy.
I don't like to say anything's gold, but that's gold. Those forums, and they're moderated good. Anthony said, I don't know what was going on in chat. He didn't want to give something out without our permission. I don't see that. I don't know what you asked, but you don't need our permission to give anything out here. We're really open, and if you have good information to share that can help anybody here, always share away, and maybe I'll learn something new.
One of those good sources, right, Jody?
Yeah. Oh my God. So you guys, I tell you what, that's oh yeah, you can put your website up there if that's what you're talking about, Anthony, or anything else. I lean on Anthony really a lot. If you guys ever want to really need it's a wealth of knowledge. Is that what you are, Mr. Fernando? I mean, he's here. You guys know how to get a hold of him. Hit him up. He's super smart. I love it.
No, it's awesome. I just brought up his webpage. It's like a really nice webpage. I love it. It's full of so much writing. That's awesome.
What do you guys think to keep this rolling along? Has the internet made us better fish keepers? Has it made us worse fish keepers? We have access to information. We have breeders that we have access to, specialty keepers. We can ID fish easier now. We should be able to ID fish easier now. There's all kinds of communities, so you can hang out with like-minded people. So you're not like the black sheep where your family just thinks you're absolutely crazy. What is not normal about having 63 fish tanks in your bedroom or 400 or 500 in your house? Has it actually, what do you guys think? Has it made you guys better fish keepers? What did chat?
You want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
What's happened?
I think it's made me a better fish keeper to some extent. Of course, we all have done and tried dumb things, and I can't wait to hear some of the things in the chat about what people have tried because the internet told them to do it. But I think it's made me a better fish keeper. It's made me a more informed fish keeper about what certain animals come from, where they come from, how they breed, when, those kinds of things. So yeah, I would say it because many of us don't have a good fish club to go to, right? We have a fish club here, not that it's bad or good, it's just small. And so your exposure is limited here, or at least where I'm at. And so those are always good places too. So I think having that source out there on the internet, on YouTube, I think those have been instrumental for me. because I didn't have anybody that I could call or, that I could go visit. I did make some friends that were having fish stores that I could call once I got into this to have a fish store. But, I'm still learning. I still learn something every day. I learn something from customers every day. Learn something from employees every day because they know a specialty fish that I've seen it. I'd send my tanks over there, but I couldn't tell you the first thing about it. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, no fish store is going to know everything about every fish. And we're honest with people like, hey, I don't know that, but let me look it up and I'll try to find out for you. So I think it comes with a little bit of honesty.
I'm going to be honest with you. I have a love-hate relationship. So the internet hasn't made us better fish keepers. That's kind of like a very narrow thing for me, because on one hand, it might have made it a little better because it's made it a little bit more easily accessible to a large amount of information. It's made it easily accessible to look up breeders or to look up stores nearby and then, look it up and maybe on their websites, they got some cool information, things like that. But on the flip side to that, I think that it has made it a little harder because it's gotten so broad and so overwhelming and so many different avenues of things that it became very confusing sometimes and very uncomfortable where you could trust information sometimes. And then, has it made somebody a better fish keeper because of it? I mean, I guess on one side it can, because the information is out there and you can easily accessible and you can learn and do things better than, going to a library back in 1950 and, reading a book. But I think that it also has made it a little worse because the internet has so much stuff out there. And some of that information is horrible information. Sometimes, and then when you get into groups and stuff like that, now you get a lot of ego people that think they know everything because they read it on a Google page. And I find that not to be making better fish keepers. There, I find them becoming like fish police, which is like a common term you'll hear on TikTok and stuff like that. So I have this love-hate relationship with that question. I don't know how anybody else feels in the chat, but I don't know if it truly made people better or if it somehow also exacerbated more people that are kind of, for lack of a better term, a-hole. So that's my thoughts. George, I don't know if you have thoughts. Chat, I don't know if you have thoughts, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
You see, this is where I would be a hypocrite if I told you that the internet didn't make me a better fish keeper, because the reality is, like I was telling you last week, when I got into the hobby, I really didn't know anything. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even know the nitrogen cycle existed until, I love you too, baby. Until my wife just got from work. Scared the hell out of me. And where was I at? Oh, I didn't even know the nitrogen cycle was a thing. Like I told you, I did everything incorrectly when I had the fish back in the late 80s, early 90s. It wasn't until I started looking at YouTube, of all places, that I come across aquariums that look like underwater gardens, something that I don't ever recall seeing when I was keeping fish back in the late 80s, early 90s. And little by little, just watching some of the videos, obviously Aquarium Co-op has been a big influence in getting some of the information. But so have other fish channels. But here's the thing though, like I was telling you earlier, you're going to have to go through a lot of channels and a lot of information to start figuring out which information is good and which one isn't. There's going to be a lot of throwaway information that's out there.
Oh yeah.
My advice to you, if you go to YouTube channels, if you start hearing almost word for word what one person is saying and the other person is saying, they probably just copied their video, and they're not talking about experience. They're not talking about stuff that they learned themselves. They're just regurgitating information that they saw somewhere else. And I wouldn't trust those people. The other people that I wouldn't trust is the ones that come off as trying to be like the ultimate expert, and they make no mistakes and they walk on water. Immediately run away from those idiots. And so it's not until you really start coming across some of the people that are you I don't know, you start getting a sense for people that are genuine and honest. And people that have been in this fish hobby are just going to have just as many mistakes that they've committed than successes that they've had. And if they're willing to share both of those with you, more than likely that person's going to be a reliable source of information because they're willing to share what they've learned, what they've made mistakes on, and how to avoid those mistakes. But that's only going to be accomplished by you spending time and going through these people's catalogs and seeing what it is that they're telling you. Anybody that just has nothing but successes and nothing ever goes wrong, again, that's a red flag. It's probably somebody's advice you don't want to take. But that's just my opinion. I think overall, as a whole, there's a lot more benefit to having the advent of social media and the internet. It makes it easier to communicate with other people. Like for example, myself, I'm in the middle of nowhere. We don't have any fish clubs. We don't have any real local fish stores. So the only access that I have to information other than a library or a book or a magazine is social media. And with that also, you got to be pretty good about knowing which information to trust and stuff like that. But that's just my take on it.
Yeah, that's really true. You know, with all that, a couple things here, just a question for everybody. We'll get to the chat and go through some questions, but with all the information and all the different places to go out there, how do you think that's actually, especially with the explosion in the last few years, affected the new hobbyists and the beginner? Like it's just got to be absolute. I mean, that's just pretty much what we're talking about, isn't it? It's got to be
Jody,
absolutely
I don't want to interrupt
hard.
you, but that question right there that is up on the screen, that is something that you can completely answer for people. What can a fish club do to help an aquarist?
Oh, good.
You are all over in clubs. What can they do?
You guys can get me on fish clubs here. Fish clubs are great. I'm telling you what. You want to meet somebody who loves themselves, a good fish club, or I even go to a bad fish club a couple times every once in a while to see if it'll get better. I just wanted to help you just meet like-minded people, so you have somebody to sit and talk with. Because just because you're into fish doesn't mean like your buddy is going to be into fish or anybody in your family is. It gives you a really great outlet. It also can introduce you to a lot of new different fish species that your pet stores can't get. As a matter of fact, pet stores around here, I see some of the stuff that we have at Fish Club, but a lot of the stuff is you get different stuff. You get to meet a lot of people who know what they're doing, maybe some experts in their fish or whatever. What is an expert? Stuff like that. But I just the fish clubs can do so much. Camaraderie, they're good for the hobby. They can be good for conservation. So much.
What they need is participation, Jody. People need to participate. If you are local to a fish club, go participate. I'm guilty as well. I should. But participation is key.
I mean, that is key. You know what else, you guys? Everybody there working at your local fish club, whether you like it or not, or you like how stuff is done or not, they're all volunteers. And if you want to make a change, be part of the change. Step up and volunteer, because when you bring that part up, a lot of people don't want to do it. It's a lot of work to run a club.
Yep.
It's a lot of work just to help at a club. So I don't know. We got to get you a good club in Tulsa. I can't believe you guys don't have a large club there.
Yeah, we don't. It's small.
Ooh, let's read these.
What did Anthony write?
Anthony says, my advice to new keepers, though, is to go to your fish club. Your local fish club, if you have one, is full of experienced people who want to help without the anonymity. I can't say that word very well. So people don't know who you are of the internet. People being jerks and whatnot. I butchered your comment right up there. Good, Anthony, didn't I? So people get, it'd be like that some days, you guys. It's just, some days it's just like that. It
I like
just
Does
got
anybody-
me.
right there.
Does anybody
'cause
wish
I-
comment?
Oh my
hold
God!
on.
Hello, Big
There we go.
Steve.
I think this is an excellent comment here because the reality is when we're beginning, this is
truth right
this
there.
is the only way you're going to learn. This is exactly the only way. Unfortunately, too many people get discouraged by this, but
Mhm.
this is something that is very normal in our hobby when you're beginning. And even as an experienced hobbyist, this summer has been a brutal summer for me in my fish room because I've killed a bunch of fish, and some of it has been the mistakes that I've committed, but some of it has just been things that are out of my control. And but yeah, it's gonna happen. I mean, this is part of the hobby, unfortunately, whether it's good or bad. This is something that every single one of us right now has experienced some of this at one point or another.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Correct. 100%.
Yeah, you're gonna kill some fish. You know,
You're gonna kill lots of fish, unfortunately.
man.
I mean, you
Don't
just
forget the
you
prime.
just don't forget. It happens. You know, stuff like that happens. It's horrible. It does. Yeah, you know, I'm grateful for the internet though. I am. I wouldn't have met so many good people or got involved with Fish Club. I was forced upon, but I would.
I mean, I like it. There's just TikTok is better than Facebook. That's what I found. TikTok has a better community, more people that are really involved in wanting to be there for each other, supporting each other, you know, sharing with each other. You know, we always are communicating, and so far I have not come across many people that were rude or egotistical or bullying in my network of people on TikTok. Facebook, on the other hand, man, that is a site that I really wish they didn't do fish keeping on, because it's some of the groups that are on there, especially for beginners and new hobbyists. It is just, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but it is just a shit show. I mean, every time I go into one of those beginner groups, I feel horrible for the new people that are posting questions that are just totally new. They don't know what to do. And then, like, you know, you get somebody that jumps in on there right after they write a comment, and they're just like bullying them to death. And then you have like 20 people sending them 20 different types of things to do. You know, it's just, I don't know if anybody else in the chat has had experience with Facebook groups when it comes to aquarium hobby stuff. But it is just beyond insanity in those groups.
I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
Have to?
I mean,
What do you mean have to?
If they go on there, they have to experience it, because that is exactly what it is all day. It's not like some people get filtered different stuff than you, believe me. Because they have to experience the same stuff if they're on there.
Yeah, but it's not helpful. It's not helpful. It's not helpful whatsoever to any new person in the hobby.
And one thing, you know, is we just all talked about where we all get information from, and we all kind of gave different places and stuff like that. And this is how, you know, internet lore, fish lore, and the myths, this is what keeps them alive. Is so much information from so many different places.
We should talk about some of those.
Oh my gosh, and we will. You guys know what else too? I have a really cool local pet store here in town that just happens to be able to support our podcast and bring this to all you guys here. It's called Discount Pet and Supply. It's right here on Hancock Bridge Parkway in Cape Coral. If you guys go in there and check out Brian, you can get fish food, you can get fish, you can get little lizards and bunnies. They even have these little animals in there that dance and chirp at the same time. I think they're like woodchucks or prairie dogs or something like that. All kinds of fish food too, right here in Cape Coral. The place is great. You guys got to go check it out.
I want one of those little dancing things. That would be cool on the counter.
I just forgot what groundhogs. They have groundhogs in there right now, and they click and they whistle and they do stuff at the same time. Yeah, and they go like this. And I just did the groundhog dance. I was showing. I was
going to say, do it again, Jody. Do it again.
They go like this, and then they all lift their foot at the same time, and they go. And it's like they're in a movie or something, and that's what they do in their little cage.
There's the real right there.
You need those in groups of 3, let me tell you. And a
I'm a
210
fan.
is not big enough.
I'm a
Right
fan.
on. Freaking the internet. It's in the aquarium myths, huh?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
we should
let's
get
do
into
it.
that.
Why not?
Into aquarium. Should we check on the chat and say hi to some people and see what people had to say and then move along? And
Yeah.
I mean, I like chat sometimes. We
Ray
let
is
George
the king
run
of
that.
chat, man. He
I'll
can
keep my.
scroll through that like nobody's business.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
freaks me out in the morning. I'm
George
like,
is doing
hold on,
it.
I gotta catch up.
Drop an aquarium fact.
I'm
You
spoiled.
want to
with
run through
George
some
here.
comments, George, or should we just move along to aquarium? myths?
Well, we've been having all sorts of comments. Here's one from DD's.
He goes, we've been having all sorts of comments.
Yeah, there's
The
this
comment machine is going.
Yeah,
I'll read a couple of them too. I don't go on Facebook for fish knowledge. I've never
TikTok.
It's fun being in fish fam. So for so many years, I kind of know who does what kind of fish, and that has helped me tremendously. It threw me off with the tiki talk there. Right on. DD's Fish Den. Thank you. Oh my gosh, the internet.
See, Jane had wrote the Facebook page for beginners is brutal. Yep, that definitely is.
Oh,
I don't even know why I'm still in the group.
We were just, I think that's how you led the conversation this morning. I don't even know why I'm still in this group.
I know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Right. Let's move on to myths. Myths, truths, and it depends.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm
going to read this. And everybody, my guys, and the chat, you guys have to write your answers to it. So the first one, well, not right. The chat has to write. I'm old.
Okay.
Meant to me for the audience. All right. So the first one is fish only grow to the size of their tank. Is that a myth? Is it truth? Or does it depend? You guys go first.
Us?
Yeah.
Ray.
What is the options? Myth, truth, or a fact?
Or it depends.
It's a myth.
Why is it a myth?
Because the fish still continue to grow inside. So, you're going to stuck in this little, think of your shoes and your feet, right?
We have a few depends, by the way, in the chat.
Oh, yeah. I'm liking some more of the answers because I'll get ready to chime in with what I think I know, but I am sometimes wrong quite a bit, a lot of times 30%.
So let's hear.
So, well, here's what I think. I think the fish will grow to the size of its tank and you'll stunt its growth. And I think the body will not grow well anymore. But I do believe from what I have learned, and I hope what I learned and read is correct, that the internal organs will continue to grow on the fish, causing the fish to die at some point. There's probably a really fancy word we could lean on. We need to get a little thing so we can push a button and Anthony can pop in and answer these really quick. Dink, like on Millionaire. And I think that the internal organs continue to grow until they touch inside the body or they explode or just can't be contained anymore. That is what I think, because that is what I have learned, and I believe that to be the truth.
Okay. George, do you have a difference of opinion?
No, I agree with that. I've been guilty of this right here. When I was trying to breed angelfish, it got to the point where I was having too many successful clutches that were hatching out, and I kept the fry in a 10-gallon tank way too long. And by the time I changed them out, they were stunted as a whole group. And so, yeah, I'm kind of like, it depends. In some cases, fish will continue to grow. In other situations, you're going to stunt them. But I think it's also based on the size of the fish.
I'm sorry. I'm reading chat. Sorry. Sorry.
He said, what if you jump 20 feet to a bigger tank?
Yeah. Oh, I see Divide by Zero at 740 has a really super good comment.
What is it? Let's see. Jody is correct. Also, they will grow way too quickly, and trust me, you won't want to see a 3-year-old red-tail catfish kept in a 40-gallon. Agreed.
I'm sorry, what was the first part of that again? I couldn't hear you.
You're correct.
Oh, me? Yay! All right. So anyways, you guys heard it here first. Tina and Ray George, he's gonna lay low on that one for a while. But yeah, I'm that guy that people don't want to see on the internet. Sometimes I am right, you guys. But thank you.
I mean, a blind hog will root up a tater once in a while.
I mean, yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right, I'm going to start
Oklahoma
this
was showing.
next one, by the way. I'm going to start this
Right
one.
on. All right.
Ray's going to get this first. Ray's getting this first. A pleco is going to clean your tank. But there's a secondary part to this. Like, how often does someone come into your store asking for a fish that can clean their entire aquarium?
Oh, every day. Like, but I don't want to clean it. Like, well, then don't have an aquarium. I mean, there is no magic fairy fish out there that's going to come clean your aquarium. And if there was, I would have 100 of them. And we'd teach those little suckers how to do water changes too.
Oh, the water change
I love
pleco.
that when they come in, like, oh, I want a pleco, and I want that common pleco over there. Like, no,
Common pleco.
tank.
Do you guys carry common
Go with my
plecos? Ray?
beta.
Unfortunately, yes, because
That's
we
too
have
bad.
people with big tanks that want them, and so
Yeah, and ponds and I know farmers buy them too because they use them in the troughs and stuff like that. And
yeah.
So.
And I've gotten a lot of them back that are 1.5 feet long. So.
So I do want to comment to this though. So if you're going to choose a cleaning bottom dweller for your tank for the bottom zone, I would probably definitely suggest 100% of bristlenose pleco. No joke. Also cherry shrimp or Romano shrimp or nerite snails, corridoras, coolie loaches, all that kind of stuff. But what I like about the bristlenose pleco is that it does do a pretty phenomenal job at taking care of most things in a tank. But I also like to stress to people is that once you fill your tank with all your cleaners, there's always this myth out there in the world that once you have all the cleaners in the tank, you never have to touch it ever again. It's not a set it and forget it thing. So the bristle nose will help, but you got to still help it too.
I can't believe how many people think bristlenose plecos eat poop still. Like, how many adult?
That's another one.
How many adult people in fish club that have been going to fish club for a really long time, and it'll get brought up sometimes. And I don't even. I'm nicer in person than I am online, so
there is no fish that eats poop.
No,
like at all.
Shrimp break it down. Shrimp will break it down.
Shrimp will break it down. Bacteria will break it down. But there's no fish that say, poop.
That kibble, that shitty kibble's good. There's just no fish that does that.
Poop.
Oh, Anthony, the comment Anthony put up on the screen is, that touches with me right now because I get people that either stop in, anybody local here that stops in and asks, I'm going to answer the question now why I don't sell my autos to you because you don't need them. 100% people get autos and think they're there to clean up their tanks, and you know what? Oh geez, my auto died. Oh, my auto died. Oh, my autos died. Well, I tell you what, you got to feed them. and that's a tough situation there. So I'm about to the point where I just don't even want to sell autos anymore to people. They're down there. They'll sit down there. Mine that I've had for all year, that is a tough one. It kind of bothers me. I shouldn't get on little tangents like that. Sorry.
Did we push
come on, I like to hear.
Yeah. I just was literally just dealing with somebody via email about why I'm not sending them more autos.
Okay.
But I understand that they all died. They had them for a month. I don't know what to tell the person, I gave them a good deal the second time on the autos, and they died a couple months later. They don't feed them. I just don't know what to tell them.
Autos eat meat. Will they eat algae? Yeah, when they can't get anything else, I think is the answer with them. Jody?
No, I feed mine soft carnivore pellets. 100%.
Okay.
I know that a lot of times when people first get them in, they feed them on algae and like to put pieces of wood inside that have biofilm and stuff on that. And I think that's just because when they come from the wild, that's something they've seen before.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah,
you
this
know,
comment right here is a good one too. A lot
Yes.
of people. Yep.
A lot of
my
people
gosh.
don't know that geckos need driftwood. And why do they need driftwood, Ray?
Why do they need driftwood? They like to rasp on the
Why?
wood. I don't know. You tell me.
Because they need fiber. It's fibrous.
Exactly.
It's good for the
That's a
digestion as
little
well.
fiber. Everybody needs a little fiber in their diet. You know.
Mm-hmm. All the bristlenose geckos definitely need driftwood. All right, I have another myth that's kind of interesting. This one I have a love-hate relationship as well. You need to replace your filter cartridge every single month.
You don't?
Filter cartridge? The black muddy thing. Yeah. Those black muddy things in the back of the HOBs. I have a couple of those actually.
That topic came up this week in the store. I had a lady that comes in. Those of you coming in the TikTok in the morning, Suzanne, God love her. She comes in and she's our little flower lady. And she's like, I need to replace my filters. It's been a month. I'm like, no. She's like, but they're dirty. I'm like, well, let's go rinse them off and we'll put them back in the tank. Let's go. So yeah, you don't need to change them all the time. Keep that bacteria.
I think though that whole myth got started up with the filter stuff, especially when companies were making those replaceable cartridges for like certain hobs and stuff like that, and it was a way to make good marketing money and good money back to keep a customer constantly coming back.
Sure.
You know, it becomes this marketing thing, but to actually replace your filter, yeah, no, that's like the apartment complex for the bacteria colony. Like, why would you replace that whole apartment?
Okay, I'm going to give a
Go
little
ahead,
bit of
George.
pushback on that.
Go
I'm gonna
ahead,
give a
do
little
it,
bit of
do it.
pushback on that because you forget that biological bacteria doesn't just grow on one surface. You have the
True.
entire tank. So it's a cost saving money. If you don't, it's not necessarily that you have to replace it, but some people just want to do it. You know, I don't have a problem with it because even though it does harbor a lot of beneficial bacteria, even if they pull that cartridge out, they're still going to have enough in the tank to be able to sustain it as that one gets proliferated.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but logically, if you're trying to not necessarily save money, but it's not mandatory. I guess that's more the answer. It's not mandatory. You could do it. Yeah, you could do it and not have a problem. But I agree with you in the fact that it was a money grab. You know, it's a way for the companies to with a lot of equipment. If they make it where you buy it once and never buy it again, they're not going to make any money. So that was a way for them to be able to have you come back and purchase another item for the equipment that they sold you. But is it bad? Is it good? It's not really going to matter. It's more of a personal choice. But yeah, if you do, great. If you don't, yeah, it's still fine. I mean, you're like Ray said, just rinse it off and put it back in there. Now, here's another one that I don't know. I don't think we mentioned it. That tap water will kill your beneficial bacteria. I call bullshit on that.
I call that bullshit. I use tap water every day.
We do every day.
Completely.
I just
Are you going to kill some bacteria? 100% you are. Are you going to kill enough to matter? Never.
No.
Never.
Well, can I just?
I'll be up running your stuff through the dishwasher and stuff, or what?
I want to just ask George a question though. So like, I get that you know, it doesn't matter because there's bacteria all over your hardscape. But what if it's like a 1-month-old tank? You're not going to have bacteria colony build up that huge in 1-month-old tank. Now if you take the filtration.
What I wouldn't do is do a water change and replace the filter, because then you would get in trouble. But at a month, the thing is, beneficial bacteria multiplies every 24 hours. So it's going to be hard unless you there's a lot of other reasons that'll happen. Usually what'll happen is somebody will introduce a large bioload all of a sudden because they went and bought multiple fish, and the aquarium is not really cycled to be able to sustain that type of biological load. And then they replace our cartridge. Yeah, you're going to get into some trouble. But if you have your one betta or maybe that goldfish that you initially started with, I don't think you're going to have. It's not going to be.
In your 5
It's not going to be as problematic. I don't think so.
Okay.
What about
Cool beans.
what about if they have the cartridges? I guess what I was understanding when you said cartridge, I was thinking of the things that has the activated carbon and stuff inside of it. So I mean, wouldn't that be? Doesn't that just only last so long? That only that only is viable for so long. So maybe that's what they're talking about when I'm trying to give them the benefit of the
But
doubt
it's still
here,
a surface for
but it's
bacteria.
for money. Yeah,
You know,
yeah, because you don't
I-
always have to run carbon
correct.
I
unless you
think
want
what
like
happens
a
is that a
crystal
lot of
clear
us as we
tank.
get I think what happens is a lot of us as we get experience will hot rod equipment. Basically, we'll replace that cartridge for some sponge filters, something that we know that we're going to be able to reuse, so we're not constantly having to rebuy. And I think we automatically, once we get experience, we think, oh, of course you don't need to replace it because we're thinking we've already done the modification so that you don't have to do that. But as beginners, I don't have a problem with it. I wouldn't do it every week because then I don't know, especially if you're
Yeah, yeah.
starting out.
You
I
just
would wait off a little bit before you
scrubbing it and clean. Yeah. So Anthony, the Bye Bye Heroes comments are really good here. The first one, bacteria has exponential growth. That means you can kill a lot of it and it'll bounce back fast. And that is very true. You do not need much. Your fish, it's going to bounce back in the tank quick. This is something that I've read, and I'm a firm believer in that. There is even an argument that killing bacteria every once in a while, like that, is a positive because it leaves younger, more effective bacteria. Out with the old, in with the new. It just like your fish, stock anything, rotate, rotate, rotate. I guess I'm a believer in that.
I would be
The thing
interested in talking to Anthony about that a little bit more in detail. Not maybe today, but like on the podcast. But I'd be interested in opening up that conversation of that argument.
Anthony
You do
is
Sunday mornings.
definitely up to be
Sunday mornings.
a reoccurring guest on here and a reoccurring person for topics and stuff like this. So 100%,
I love having
like I said,
science
he's
talks.
a
It's
wealth
great.
of knowledge.
I would love
He's
it.
really easy to look up too. His name's right there. He
Yeah,
likes
I
to share.
think
He's a
that's the
good
same.
guy.
You were kind of touching on that, Jody, but I think what is it? K7 biomedia is basically on that principle. The whole reason you want it agitating the little plastic rings is that it'll knock off the older bacteria that's on there, so that you could have new bacteria grow on it. And I think it's called K7, right? I've never used it, but it's.
I know what you're talking
what do
about.
they
I
call
don't know what it's called though.
Yeah, it's called fluid media or something like that.
Yeah, like a fluid sand, like Joey does the fluid sand, where it's constantly moving to help the bacteria grow.
All right, here's another myth or truth question. If you're waiting for cycling to occur, do you let the aquarium sit for a week before adding fish? Do you add fish while it's cycling? Do you not add fish? Some people say, wait, don't do it, don't touch it. What do we do?
Me and Ray are not going to be the people to ask. That's so is it do as I say, do as I have to do as I do?
I did the old school method, so I mean,
say, don't do as I do.
I
just think there's different ways to cycle an aquarium. That's all there is. There's
I
different
agree with
methods
you.
to do it.
When I have a newbie, I don't like them to do a fish-in cycle. I encourage them not to do a fish-in cycle. I want them to learn the right way to cycle it. In my opinion, the right way.
You prefer they do fish out?
Fish out. A fishless cycle is what I prefer them to do. I think it's safer. It's sure I can. The fish store owner in me says, yeah, go ahead, do that fish-in cycle. And when your fish die in a week from now, you're going to come back and buy more fish. I don't want that. I want you to be successful so that you're still going to come back a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and still buy more fish. So I want to teach you a way to cycle a tank without fish in it, and we'll test your water for you every week. This is what we do for people. Is try to educate them on the cycle while they're in that process, and let them know what they're doing. Now, the fish store and the guy who's at the fish store, and I get a fish in, and I got to put it in a tank. I'm going to do a fish and cycle if I have to, right? But I know the benefits and the risks of doing that, and I know what to look for. A new person's not going to.
I can agree to that. I can agree.
What about the bacteria differences from making a nitrogen cycle in a tank that just has water and maybe a plant, and then when you add a fish and you have a fish in there, that's a whole different thing. So that like that's two different beasts there. So why not just run a fish?
Why not? I don't want them to spend money. I don't want them to spend money that they potentially don't have to. I don't want them to kill a fish.
I guess I've just never been a believer in the fish out cycle that it actually works, because I believe that is a whole different beast than having a living ecosystem. So, and I've never learned anything more about that. So that's all I can ever say. And that's one of the questions when I answer it online, I say, but I'm wrong sometimes. But and because I can't answer, I don't have the answer for what I think I know.
Right.
I just think that's the same as putting them in a glass of water that's dechlorinated. It's a whole new beast. It doesn't have a fish. It doesn't have their bacteria. Who cares if there's something in there killing bacteria from the air? Why want it to kill the dumps bacteria? Like, you know, I can drink your cup of water all day long that was out in the air, but if you go to the bathroom by it, it's going to be a whole different cup of water, bro.
True.
But I don't know. Actually, I don't even know. I just think I make that up in my head. Truth.
George, what did you want to say?
No, I was going to say, I don't think I've ever done a fishless cycle. I don't know how to do one, to be honest. It's always been fish in for me. The very first one was fish in. The thing is, now there's so many ways to help you be successful. You got products that you can buy that'll help you jumpstart your cycle. My preferred method is using cycled media. I use that all the time. I'm a true believer in rinsing or wringing a sponge filter in the new aquarium and adding fish. That's how I've always cycled my aquariums. I don't know if I would recommend that to somebody that's doing an aquascape because it's going to be full of loam.
Yeah.
But for a lot of the tanks that I set up, that's just kind of the way I've always done it.
There's nothing wrong with loam.
Hey, I went on an aquarium co-op tour a couple months ago, and when I was in there, they had these bags. Somebody in the chat throw up the name, because I know you guys know about them because there's videos, and they were in the goldfish tanks, and they're just bags of substrate that people order, and you throw them in your tank. It's like your tank cycler, like Ray, when somebody comes and gets a filter. No, you make them. That's right. Ray doesn't give up filters. He forces people to go do science. He's like, go do science.
Go do science.
It's supposed to be fins for grins, not fins for headaches, bro. Like, oh my God, the cycle. We're gonna have to do a show on the cycle because it's a tough one.
Yeah, you have like Fritz 7 that or Turbo Start that's a liquid form. Start. Yeah, but then you also have companies that are actually selling you cycled media. They come in these.
Aquarium Co-op is doing that now too.
Yeah, they
that's what I'm talking about.
The old tennis ball containers. That's kind of what they remind me of, where you would buy the tennis balls that would come in groups of threes, the clear plastic tall ones with bio rings or biospheres, and you know my only question is, how long will it last, though? That's the only thing I don't know if that's still active media in there or not. That's my only concern, because
exactly.
every time I'm getting out of a live tank.
That's my concern. Is if you buy that little jar of their little cycled media, you know, they packaged it in Kentucky. They shipped it to me. I have it on the shelf. How long is that gonna last?
Well, see, theirs I didn't know you put on the shelf. I thought they just sent it to their customers, but I saw a thing of C-Chem one at my buddy's house, and I was looking for an expiration date because maybe this is an internet myth. I thought your stuff all died if it didn't have oxygen or flow or air. But then couldn't you just use that dead stuff too? Wouldn't that create a bacteria? Isn't that make bacteria too? Isn't like
don't
a
know.
rotting
I mean-
bacteria some kind of like isn't bacteria?
I mean, what causes ammonia? Decay, right?
Yeah.
So if you're adding decay to the tank, you know, you could argue that it's eventually adding bacteria to the tank. But
And
I
exactly
can't
what
even keep
Anthony
up with
just
the
wrote.
chat.
I don't know if anybody just saw what Anthony just wrote. That I was just about to say what Anthony just is about
Correct.
when he just said. Bacteria
Thanks,
could be
I-
aerobic or anaerobic.
I just didn't want to lean on him again and ask him because I left a filter off one time and he told me just to fire it back up and he said something about this and I was a little bit nervous because I
don't
did
know.
the big water change and it actually everything was fine.
when those
Hey
bad
Jody,
boys
not to
stink for high
interrupt
level-
though, did you want to thank that person that gifted 10 Uncle Joe Fish Head memberships?
I did.
you
I
see
saw
that?
that from Garcia Aquatics. It was way. It's there. It is again. It's gone. Bacteria can be that. I don't. Something I probably can't do it. Thank you so very much, Garcia Aquatics, for the 10 gifted memberships. It is so much appreciated, you guys. Yeah, support for the channel. It's great. You guys know how else you can support the channel. Pretty soon we'll have wet floor t-shirts available that you guys can order. And we'll either make some cool wet floor selfie shirts. So if you want to go take selfies, they'll be backwards. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, look at that super cool selfie I took with the wet floor shirt. I'm just saying, there's only one of them right now.
Can I ask one more myth question?
No.
Because this one I just have to ask.
You
skipping the
can
next
ask as
one.
many as you
I have to
want.
ask this one.
The chat,
Sure.
chat likes myth questions. Thank
This
you
one-
again,
this one is-
Garcia.
This one's passionate to me. A beta can live in a cup because they live in a puddle.
Well, sure.
Myth.
Why not?
They come in
They
those
live
little
in-
cups.
I
Yeah,
have two in my
live in
coffee cup
bottles.
right now. Yeah. I mean,
They're like a
Been
10
beta
gallon
farm.
Well, let's talk about it. Because personally, I mean, in the wild, do they really live in just a small little puddle and that's all they stay in and circle
I'm gonna tell
around
you
this
right
little
now,
puddle?
In the wild, you're not going to find the bettas you're buying. That's the reality. You're
Yeah,
not going to
I agree
find the
with that.
bettas you're buying.
Correct.
And can you elaborate a little
And
bit?
they're big
Well-
puddles. They're not little puddles, guys.
Wild type bettas usually don't have the high flowing fins that we
Uh-huh.
buy in today's hobby. They're going to be more sleeker body, smaller fins. They're actually a lot faster swimming fish. The stuff we're buying now, they're little Frankensteins that we have selectively bred to look the way they do. That's why it's so difficult for them. Look, here's the irony of all this. People get so bent out of shape and they think it's animal cruelty to keep them in that small cups. I'm gonna tell you, I think it's animal cruelty to breed them to the point where it's hazardous to their health. And the reason you
100%.
know that is if you see some of these fins get so big that their spines start bending because they can't hold them. They're so big. That's the reason you can't have any flow in a lot of these aquariums because
a little bit of water.
those fish naturally were not designed to be like that. We've kind of really done the Frankenstein on them because we think it's beautiful to see these big flowing fins. So those fish, I think, were rarely bred to be in a very small container with very little water flow. Now we're talking wild type bettas. Yeah, it's a whole different game. That's a whole different game.
Okay, Ray, what's your thoughts on that? Because honestly, I love how you display your betas in your store, Ray. I do.
Yeah.
You're doing
So,
a
thank you.
fantastic job.
We don't like to keep them in cups. Occasionally we have to because we run out of tanks, right? And Mama likes to buy betas. God love her. But yeah, I don't like to keep them in small little cups. I think it's great to have them in a tank. I like to show them in a tank with other fish because one of the other myths that we bust a lot around here is the beta can't go with anything, and it can go with other things. Yes, sometimes it does depend on the beta, right? But we encourage them to put them in other smaller tanks. Definitely not with long fin stuff. I always say a beta likes to be the prettiest fish in the tank. If you're going to put it in with something else, make it sure that's the prettiest thing in the tank. And that's just kind of an easy way for people to say, oh, okay, I can't have two betas in the tank. Yeah, you're right. Can't have two betas in the tank for other reasons. But that's what we do. And I've battled that question. Well, they live in a small puddle. I'm like, they really don't. And George, you really brought up a good thing. about the betas that we see are not the wild type, right? There are wild type betas out there that you can purchase, but they're a completely different fish, completely different temperament as well. So, yeah, I agree with you there. And that also, I think, kind of starts another topic that would maybe one day we'll talk about is hybrid versus non-hybrid fish. You know, flower horns as an example.
Goldfish.
You know, goldfish. Yeah.
Red blood parrots.
Exactly.
They're hybrid.
Exactly.
Yep.
So anyway, I didn't mean to go down that rabbit hole, but that's what we.
No, it's okay.
You know,
I forgot who asked the question. I was going to say to her, yes, the betas live in the wild. They're absolutely beautiful. And some of the traits that I see that people really been going for at the shows, and I forget what the fins and stuff are called. I wish like Gio and Jessica were around, you know, with the little in the tail fin. I see a lot of those coming back, and that's more of the wild. That's more of the wild look of the fins, though. You know, how the embellished and stuff look. Yeah, some of the wild betas are just as colorful as, you know. I mean, I don't know that there's many yellows and stuff, but they're absolutely crazy. I don't know where I kind of stand with George that some of the betas need to be in smaller containers. Now, I don't know like if they need to be in a cup, but definitely shallow water is good for the ones with the big fins because they just struggle to swim up and swim down. But I think they are made, you know, they make these fish over in Japan and they're made for small spaces. Now, let's just think about this. It's tiny over in Japan. The apartments are small, spaces small. They don't have people with big yards over in some of those cities in Japan because it's, you know, it is what it is. Their yards are tiny. They're like a tiny little courtyard, like as big as your breezeway that you change your shoes in. And look at the housing in the apartments over there. So having a fish in a little fish tank, and I do believe they're bred for that. The wild type betas and some of the other ones, they would never do well in there. So I think that goes to people's personal preference, and I think, you know, if you keep fish in a smaller container, that you definitely are going to need to do more maintenance and stuff like that. But I'm not going to shame anybody for keeping a beta in like a couple gallon cage or an aquarium or something on their desk, I guess, as long as it's being taken care of well.
I guess for me, I have a slight difference of opinion on that. I don't want to ever keep them in such a small environment. I'm more of a person that likes to give them a longer tank and a shorter tank. Granted, like my one beta is in a 6 and my other one's in a 10. And I find that they just seem to enjoy exploring. And I also set up their tanks to be more organic. So they really explore it really well. They play around with their curiosities and do stuff. I have such a hard time, and I mean, maybe Anthony could discuss it, but I have such a hard time seeing them in such a small tank as a permanent home. I think that it just, I don't know. I just feel like it just is not doing them a justice of life. Like, it's just this little square spot that they sit there and just maneuver. Like, they're fish, you know? I'm not saying that they should have a huge 45-gallon tall tank, but like at least something that's like longer, like a bookshelf, and then shorter so that they can get up to the top for labyrinth breathing. But giving them like a space that they could like explore and feel like they're living in this little kingdom world for them. You know, I think, in my opinion, that's what I like to do for my betas. I like to make them feel like they're thriving somewhere. But I could be wrong, you know.
I don't think you're wrong at all. I think, you know, one thing they do have going for them is they have the labyrinth organ, and so they're able to breathe air. I was going to bring this up when we talk about that, because you talked about the little puddle in the betas, and I think maybe that's kind of maybe a little bit, I don't know where I've ever read that online, and I think that's confusion. I've read that in Facebook groups that betas live in puddles, but I've never read it anywhere else. But what I have read and seen videos on is a comment that Anthony put up there before, because I've watched it. I just don't know where it is, where it talks about the killifish here.
Yeah, it says lives its entire life there, lays eggs, has babies. It's just remarkable how killifish are adapted to make use of the worst of conditions.
And you're talking one footprint from an elephant. So I think that's where some of the beta stuff comes from. Yeah, beta can survive in a puddle because they can breathe air and stuff, but not to even sidetrack us from betas, but
Right.
that's
No, I get
absolutely
it.
crazy. Yeah, so that's a tough one, you know, because it's the beta police are out there. There's
all kinds of fish police out there. It's not just beta police. We live in a world of police on the internet. All right. Well, George had brought up here. He had brought up a really cool question. He said, "Do you have a local fish store that you trust enough to ask for advice?" Everybody's going to say Fins for Grins and Uncle Jody's, but no. In all seriousness, to anybody local, do you have a specific fish store? And then I was going to ask some other questions, like, does working in a fish store automatically make somebody an aquarium expert? Like, Ray, are you an expert? You own a store. I lost you, Ray. Ray's having.
Sorry, I muted. Roscoe was giving us a serenade.
But, I like Roscoe.
Yeah. No, I'm not an expert. You know, I'm an IT guy, man. I've learned fish. If I don't know it, I'm going to tell you. If I know it, I'm going to share it with you. Is kind of the way I look at it. So, but I'm not.
Jody, you're the same way. Are you an expert, Jody?
Sure.
You're an expert.
No problem. Just ask me. I'll tell you. No, no. I mean, I know a little bit about enough that I know who to go and ask.
Exactly.
That's so. I think I do an expert level job taking care of fish because I have resources that I am not afraid to ask. I don't freely give out advice to people. Especially if I don't know. Also, sometimes what we think is right and what works for us doesn't work for somebody else, and maybe it can change too. What is it? What makes somebody an expert? What's an expert fish breeder? So, no, that's. I don't have a pet store I can go to here either. As a matter of fact.
Well, like the stuff that you're working in business, you guys work in business. You own stuff to breed and sell and whatever. Like working every day in the store, how does that different from like what people are learning on the internet? Like you see stuff every day with like physically in front of you. So like,
sure.
How does that differ compared to like what people that's like learn on the internet?
Well, I think your breadth of exposure is deeper, right? So you're going to see how certain fish interact. You're going to see how things work. If you've only kept one type of fish, you probably know that fish better than anybody. But when you're looking at all the different fish and you have to know a little bit about them, you have to know a little bit about every one of them. And you see some things. People are going to ask you things that they're looking for you for the answer. And if you don't know, you better find out. And you better know who you can call, who you can reach out to get the answer. I remember our first month in business was hell because, and thank goodness I had that resource that I could reach out to and get help, and it was something silly. So, but anyway, yeah, you just get exposed to so many different things that questions that come up, diseases that come up. Some of you probably have never had ick. Great. I'm lucky. I wish I could say I never had ick or columnaris or epistylis, whatever. Some of you probably never had those things. And so we see it every day.
So like what happens when people come around and they come into your store or they come into Jody's shed or they come into George's TikTok and they sit there and go, I know, I read it online, so I know this is right. And this is what it, and they come and face you and talk to you and say, well, this is what I read, so I know it's right. How do you handle that?
It's all the time. I can't imagine face-to-face rate, especially because you know, like all the time. I don't remember back from when I was younger. I probably didn't have to deal with it because there wasn't the internet and stuff. But that's got to be absolutely crazy sometimes. I get a lot of calls and emails. I'm about ready actually to take my phone number off the website. I just was talking to Ray about this today. I like it that people can call me, and I truly, each and every one of you, if one of you guys is watching that called me this week, it's not even one person, it's just so many. So many questions, so much. And they call and ask for advice, and then they butt you because they already have the advice. And I don't know how to continue to be nice on the phone, and I am, and I almost want to pull my hair out. You're wanting me to give you the answer, like I know what you want me to say, and I can't because it's not right. You know, they're like, want me to, like, tell me what you want. Tell me how you want me to answer. So I guess, you know, that can get tough. And it all goes back to the internet.
It does get tough. You know, you don't want to argue with people. And I'll say, well, that's an, you know, great. You've heard that, but here's what I would do. And, you know, they're there for a reason. So you can either take it or leave it. And I'll tell you, this is how I would fix that problem. But, you know, you can't force somebody to do it the way you want them to do it. You can only educate and offer a solution, and it's up to them whether or not they take it. So, and
George, what do you find when you're on
have to walk away? I mean, you're like,
that's one way the internet has. That's one way the internet has to have made it worse, because people are self-diagnosing, and then I suppose you didn't have a shop before there was the internet. And you know, if I was to have one again, there was no internet when we did, so I can only imagine that it'd be totally different, because people came in and they would, a lot of times they bring their fish. They bring the fish in, you know, and they would ask, and sometimes you'd have to get a book out and look even, you know, it was a long time ago. Now everybody has it self-diagnosed, and I literally think they're looking for a cure-all, and to hear that they were doing something right a lot of times, and that there's like a medication or something that'll fix it, and that's just not the case. We need to find the root of the problems.
We should look at some of the answers in the chat. You have some nice long answers in the chat with some stuff.
Heck yeah.
Should address some people's comments in there.
I like Jane. I'm overfeeding. I'm an expert at that.
Yeah. You want to throw some of them up there, George? Right on. Nathan says, if I tell someone something that I'm not 100% on, I end it with it, but I'm not positive, so I'm wrong. It's not my fault, and if I get it right, give me credit. 100%. Exactly. You know, give credit where credit's due, and we're not. We only know what we know, and things do change. So sometimes, even when we're wrong, we may have been right, and sometimes when we're right, we may have been wrong. That's your water different than my water. Your fish are different than my fish. They came from a different place, you know.
I always
actually do that a lot.
Your mileage may vary. Your mileage may vary. This is what happens for me, but it might be different for you. You know.
When I'm on TikTok doing my lives, though, I make sure that if I don't know an answer to something, because I'm not an expert in everything at all, the first thing I do is I go, well, you know what? I know Jody's going to know. I know Ray is probably going to know. I don't want to give you misinformation. I want to keep it transparent, and I'm going to send you to people that I know that is going to answer your question for you. That's what I try to do a lot when I'm on TikTok, instead of acting like some know-it-all, because I'm not.
Then you ask me, and then I get on and I ask somebody else, and then I take credit for it. Because I trust my sources, and that is, I'm good at that, though. I mean, I have a lot of resources that I trust, and I will pass that information around. There's no shame there. I saw the question about the experts and getting stuff wrong, and I really think being somebody who is an expert in your field, or to be an expert, is you can be wrong. Knowing and owning your wrongness is part of it, you know. That's my opinion. I don't know.
And never be
But what really
arrogant enough
defines an
that you
expert?
can't learn something. You know, if you're that arrogant that you're like, well, I know everything, you can't teach me something. You know,
But what really defines an expert anyway?
I think
mean-
it's people that have to me, I guess, to become an expert, you almost have to narrow down certain species, because it would be very difficult to become an expert on a broad species
Everything.
of fish. But like, for example, I know Ed Moats. He's somebody that I would consider an expert when it comes to gadeids. Because that's mostly the type of fish that he's kept. And I think in our hobby, we do have certain people that we hold to that standard as being experts. You know, there's people that specialize in plecos, cories, you know, but it's more like a species that they've invested a lot of time and research and breeding and doing all these things to where you could consider them an expert. Well, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that they quit learning. You know, I think more than anything else, there's a lot of us that are experienced fish keepers, not so many experts. That's kind of my take on it.
I guess a question for you, George. Do you think people that are master breeders, are they experts?
Oh, God.
Not necessarily, because
gives
well,
me a
they
headache.
could probably be experts in the process because they bred so many species that they've figured out a way to trigger fish to breed. And that aspect, I think it is. But if you want to have them focus on a specific species, probably not, because they're going through so many different species and their whole goal is to get them to breed. So if you're talking about experience or expertise in breeding, probably yes. Not so much about specific
Breeds.
breeds and stuff like that, but I would consider a master breeder an expert in breeding.
Makes sense.
I mean, I don't know.
So wait,
Go ahead, Jody.
how many fish does he have to? How many fish do you have to breed to be a master breeder?
I don't know. Don't the clubs set those rules? Like, you know, in
I think
order
there's
for you
a
to get your,
standard, or they're trying to make like a standard across the.
Are they?
You know,
Yeah.
I think there's
Oh.
some sort of a guidelines, but you could.
Well,
the
sure,
club
it's
is at the
whatever.
end-
It's each club makes a different one, and then the Cichlid
Correct.
Association has a different one than the AKA, and they're so far and different. And you know, and then a new club starts, and they're like, if you breed 100 fish, you're like, you get this master breeder award, and then it's recognized by a nonprofit. And guess what? The next club up the ladder is going to recognize it too, because everybody wants to be all fine and dandy about the master breeder. Where's my paper? Because I didn't donate the first 600 species of fish I bred in my life.
That was my
does
first
that
thought.
mean that I actually have to donate some fish and make some money? No knocking on the fish club. I love fish club. I helped start our breeders program. So, but is that a master breeder? Because there's a lot of variants of swordtails and guppies there. And yeah, I was messing with somebody I know about this while I was setting up for Aquashella, and I was just getting some tanks ready and looking at them, and I was threw a bunch of fish up in them, and just in the time I was setting that up, I think I could have bapped like, I don't know, 9 species in the course of that week, you know, a bunch of different live bears and stuff. But so that's a tough one, the master breeder thing. Sorry, I got on a tangent there. We'll be talking about that soon.
It's okay, Jody. I'm just going to reel you back.
Here I come.
Come back, Jody.
We got this. Where were we at here? You know, and then what does who on YouTube is? Which of those guys are? We talked about this earlier. Does having a pile of followers, does that mean you're a? Because 500,000 people, like you said, Tina, if that many people follow you, is that person an expert, or are they just an expert at getting a whole bunch of people to believe their stuff?
I think I just don't like the term expert. I think just that term annoys me, because no one is an expert in anything. I don't care if you have a degree in basket weaving. I don't care what you have. You're not, because every day something new occurs. Every day something
Oh no,
changes.
basket weaving just
So I just feel that to use the label expert, I become like, I don't know. I mean, even like if you look at, not to name drop, but like Father Fish, dude's like, old dude. He's been doing fish forever. And it's like, do I label him an expert?
I don't know.
He's just a guy that has a lot of experience touching fish. I don't understand like the label. I think
Did Tina just say he's got a lot of experience touching fish?
yes.
I mean, I'd imagine he's touched a fish or two.
Yes.
You should ask him. Any of you guys in chat, do you guys know Father Fish? Lou, do you touch fish a lot? I'm going to have to call him now. Sorry. Lou's a good guy.
Wait, who? Sorry, that was funny.
I'm sorry. What was that? Let's get this show back on track here.
Who do we need to reel back in? Tina?
Probably me now at this point. I'm sorry, I went off this expert tangent.
What's the next question? Where
All right.
we? What day is it?
Besides the fact that we get all of our information online, you guys, I'm getting us back on track here. So, what about when you offer information online? Do you just freely, like, where's you guys? Because you have a channel, Tina, and it's for education on TikTok, and Ray, you do a thing in the morning, and people like to see your fish, and George, you're just all over, and you really have your hands in a lot of this stuff. So where is your responsibility, or where do you think your responsibility lies when you're giving information out?
I think it's very important to let people know that the information that I'm going to provide them is for my own personal experience, and that just because things worked out for me in a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to work out the same for whoever's listening to that advice, because there's so many variant factors. There's just if we were looking at the very basics, water parameters are very different based on what part of the country or world you're living in. So that could be a factor that if I try something with the fish that I have, might not necessarily work out for you, because it's gonna have a different effect. Biggest thing like with water is soft water versus hard water. I happen to live in a region where my water is very hard. I don't need to add anything to try to bring up pH and stuff like that. So advice that I could be giving you about certain fish would only be for people that have similar water parameters to myself. And I tell them, I said, and I'm a true believer in that. Just because it worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And I know that gets said a lot, but I think it is true. There is some validity into trial and error. That's how you learn what works and what doesn't. You have to be willing to sometimes try something new. I'm a big proponent of trying it out, but I think you get into that realm once you have the basic understanding of how to cycle an aquarium, how to, the biggest thing is noticing your fish behavior, which is sounds kind of kooky in a way, but the longer you've had a species that you've interacted with, you are able to distinguish what seems to be normal behavior versus what's odd behavior. And I think it's very important that before you start messing around and trying to figure things out, that you're able to recognize these things, because those are the things that are going to let you know that things are going wrong before they get really bad. And if you start picking up on those clues, you'll be able to take corrective actions to be able to get it back to where it was, so that you don't cause any further problems. But yeah, I think it's just the biggest thing is being very honest and open about what your experience has been. And if you don't know something, say you don't know. There's nothing wrong with not knowing. I get so tired of of people always having the answer, when I know that's not true. And it's not even true in fish keeping. It's not true in life. We don't always have the answers. We're gonna make some errors, and we're gonna learn from those. I think people that in this hobby that don't make mistakes will probably not become very good fish keepers because they haven't had the experience to how to rectify a situation. I think it's very important that we do have those stumbles along the way but that we learn how to bounce back from them. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, solid too.
I put a question to the chat, by the way, because Nathan brought out an interesting comment. He had said Tina's tanks, meaning mine when we're on live on Sundays. He said Tina's tanks make mine look like trash. And that's a question that I want to bring up actually to the chat and to everybody else, because this brings it back to the social media aspect and to the internet world aspect. Is social media changing what we think an aquarium is supposed to look like? Right? Because did George just step away for a sec?
He must have.
Okay. So
Okay.
I'm curious to know what anybody thinks about that question that I posted to the chat alone. I think that it is very true, and I think it is very destructive to new people. Right. So, like, do you think the internet and social media and things like that, did it change the way people think an aquarium should look like? Because I see a lot of like stuff where people like, are using like AI sometimes, or they're using like filters for their tanks, or, say they're not using Purigen, but they do, and things like that to make their tanks look so perfect and spotless. So do you guys think that social media and the internet is changing that perception for beginners, for people? Because Nathan just made that comment about mine. Just by reading his comment, it kind of was sad for me to read that, where he says my tanks make his look like trash. Your tanks aren't trash, Nathan. Your tanks are great. You're organic. They're tanks. So what are your guys' opinions on that comment?
I mean, I'm glad you brought up the social media aspect part of it too, because that just kind of was like, because some people I've had people say that, well, you put your tanks on, that's why they look so nice. Well, or a lot of people don't understand there's a lot of time into that. And a lot of these people that we come across are more new. So they're, how long did it take you to grow that tank in, Tina?
My tanks?
Yeah.
Oh, are you asking, or?
Well, yeah, I'm just more in general,
Right.
because the people are commenting about, and then Anthony's comment about Aqualust and the difference, I mean, different tanks for different things too. I got kind of sidetracked there reading the chat.
No, me
Sorry.
too. No, Jane was writing, social media is making it impossible for new people to get in and actually enjoy their own tanks. Somebody wrote, what the heck do they think a grow out tank looks like? Yeah, I know.
I can see that being really true, where especially when I go in the beginner groups, and sometimes the people will be like, geez, I'm just new, I'm just trying to learn here, why is everybody so hard on me? That's when I wish there wasn't the internet for fish keeping, and it was just trial and error,
I don't know. I tend to disagree. I think when you see inspiration, like Tina, like some of the other, more, I hate to say it, more popular YouTubers out there doing aquascaping, to me, that's an inspiration. And I want to try to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so has it changed what I do? Sure. Because I've learned so much about doing certain aquascapes by watching a certain channel. I try to emulate what they're doing. And can I do what they did? Could I do what Tina did? I want to try it. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. So I think it does influence us, good and bad. I don't think it's all bad. I think there's a lot of good that comes out of it, because now you might not have, back in the day, you might not have ever seen a beautiful planted tank. And I think that's why we have a lot of the planted tanks that we have. That's why nano tanks are the craze right now, because they're on the internet. And people are showing that, hey, you can have this little microcosm of the world on your desk that's beautiful. You would never have seen that before. And so
No.
you're going to go try it. right? So
No, I
that's
actually think you agree with what we said, and you stepped away for a second.
okay. Gotcha. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But I do think sometimes
I don't want it to be all
people.
bad.
I do think
no,
sometimes
it was pretty
people-
good actually.
I think some people sometimes though they look at it and they think like the expectation of the bar is too high for them, and they get a little bit feel bad about themselves to a degree, right? They don't realize that like the tank that's behind me, even though that's an AI image, that's actually my angel tank. It's just made into an AI image, and it took over a year to make that tank the way it is, and a lot of people don't realize that, and it took a lot of trial and error to make that tank the way it is. So. But I don't know. I think that sometimes social media can make people maybe challenge them a little bit to do better and bigger and awesome things. But then sometimes I look at social media and there's a lot of stuff that's just not even really true. Like I've been seeing AI fish all over the place, which has been pretty crazy. Like AI video of fish that are like not even real fish.
Some of it's hard.
Yeah,
it's like wow.
I want to talk about this comment from Edge of the World.
I'm gonna the subliminal messages. Go ahead, Gray.
Internet will keep you from impulse buying. I totally disagree. Mainly because if you look at if there's a channel that's put something out about a certain fish, guess what fish is going to be popular this week? It's going to be chili rasboras. It's going to be electric blue car. It's going to be whatever the hot thing is at the moment. Redhead tapajos.
Again,
totally,
there's just none.
Yeah, there aren't any because
they want $1 million for them. Yeah,
exactly. But anyway, people want them, and I think that instigates impulse buying, in my opinion.
I do like Edge of the World's other comment he made, which is making the tank look good for you. Or make your tank look good for your fish. I like that question. Difference
because I know people that aquascape, and they just barely like have a couple shrimp or a guppy or two in the tank, and that's it. And that is 100% for them.
I think there's a thing that gets missed in this whole thing of setting up aquariums, and I think it's what's the purpose of your aquarium? Because if you're going to be breeding fish, the aquarium is going to look very different than somebody that's trying to display fish. I think
it is. Zoom in. I want you to zoom in on Tina real quick, and let's have a little chat here now. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, dear.
Yeah, if you're you can. Everybody has the occasional accidental.
We're just teasing Tina.
Or breeding, but I think if your goal is to be a fish breeder, your tanks are not good. You could have plants in them. Yeah, there's ways you can do it. But is it practical? Not necessarily, because if you're breeding fish, you're going to be harvesting from these tanks, and the last thing you want is to be stumbling with decor or plants in the aquarium. Can you make them modular? Yes, you can do that too. But again, it all depends what you're ultimately trying to achieve. If you're going to do an aquascape, of course you're going to set it up very different. You're going to have different type of equipment, different type of filtration. So I think at the end of the day, it really boils down to what is your purpose for your aquarium, because that's going to dictate what direction you're going to go with. That's something that I've learned the hard way.
Yeah, I've learned that myself too, actually. I wanted it to be more decorative for me, and then it moved into, you know what? I want my fish to be in a spot where they love, and that's how I ended up developing my tanks. Yes, Jody, are you raising your hand?
No, I was waving at the person who said hey to us.
Who?
That's JT. He's a new fish store owner. So congratulations to him. He just opened up.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, congratulations!
Congratulations!
Awesome.
I couldn't really see it from here. JT Aquatics is what it said. Thank you and welcome in. Yeah, I was just looking at the chat. The chat's pretty exciting. There's a lot of people in here.
I
New
know. I'm trying to
people.
like read.
So many new people. This is different than when I do the Uncle Live at the Shed live streams, because I have to actually pay attention and deliver here. I can't just go like this and be like, what were we talking about? And meet everybody. So I'll definitely have to go back through and check this out.
Yeah,
how
there's
exciting.
like so many.
He's blaming you,
Yeah,
Ray.
it's pretty fun. Ray told.
Well, we only had-
I did. I did. I met him.
I mean,
I believe I think it is. I met him in the Dallas Expo.
Yeah.
And
right on.
He and his lovely wife were there, and I said, "Do it. You're a young man. Go do it before you get old like me."
At what expo?
The DFW Expo.
Right on.
Yeah, the Dallas.
Speaking of expos, don't forget to talk about expo, guys.
Tim will coming in late. We were up in there later, but we sure can because I don't mind.
What's a story you guys can share about something you did wrong in the fish keeping hobby and then learned how to keep that specific fish alive and thriving? Oh, man.
Thank you for the gifted 5 memberships.
Yes, thank you, Garcia.
Thank you, Garcia.
What's a story you guys can share about something you did wrong in the fish keeping hobby and that learned how to keep that specific fish alive and thriving? Ray, you want to start with that one?
Why are you picking on me?
I'm picking on
you.
You know, man, I don't know. I was trying to think if I wouldn't say that I'm a fish keeper. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have fish, right? But I've made a lot of dumb mistakes, and I'd say probably my dumbest is not putting the prime in the water. That's my biggest dumbest mistake, especially right after getting fish, and we're the next couple of days we do water changes, and you lose tanks of fish when you don't do that. So that was a bad one. But I mean, there are lots of dumb things. I've put the wrong fish at the wrong thing. My favorite one was we had a puffer. I don't remember what kind of puffer it was. And just as we dumped the rope fish in, I said, that's probably not a good idea. And it looked like that puffer was eating a noodle. So that was probably my biggest, dumbest mistake. No, too late. That was a good mistake.
What about you, Jody?
Oh my gosh. Story time. You put me on the spot here, huh?
Come on, you can come up with a story.
What was the question again? A story that I can share about something I did wrong, and learned how to keep that specific fish alive and thriving. So I don't understand that question really. Actually, I was trying to figure that out. I'm sorry.
Can you share a story of something that you've done wrong that you worked really hard to fix, and that fish, whatever fish was in that tank, lived?
Oh my gosh, that's easy. Like there's a lot of those actually. I guess before I started using more commercial medications again, I somehow over the course of time went down this holistic route. And I still won't say that Melafix and Pimafix don't work, because I believe they did work in the capacity I used them for years. But I have learned to trust the science and trust the medications now. And it's better for the fish. It's better for the fish I have to offer for people, and it's actually just better for the fish. I don't know of specific type of fish that I've had. We really go through a lot of fish here, so that's kind of what I have for that. I'm sorry.
I think the only one of the mistakes that we had in this house is that my husband, because he thought it was a really cool looking fish, he got a Dosani Mbuna. And I wasn't familiar with Mbunas at the time. and we thought they were really cool until it bit my red parrot's face and became a real nightmare. And then I started researching the fish, and I'm like, why did we buy this fish? So we ended up putting him in Alcatraz, which is a private tank for himself and a couple of other fish that don't like other fish. So that was probably one of my mistakes I did. And the only other mistake I really kind of did, and I really got scared with my husband that we thought we were going to lose my whole community tank, was doing a water change, and all the bad water got backfilled into the tank, and my tank was so black I could not see a tree, and I thought my whole entire tank was going to die. And then it went better because my canister filter worked really well. Go Floogle. No, shout out there. That's about it, basically.
Yeah, the struggle can be real.
Yeah, don't let other people do water changes in your tank. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That gives me heart palpitations.
The water change or not water change.
Dude,
that's a whole
I couldn't.
other,
The tank was so muddy I couldn't see. Oh my god, it was so bad. Anyway,
absolutely
so,
crazy. Where are we at here? Thank you, Mr. Garcia. I see he gifted 5 more.
I know. I'm like, what is all that stuff?
Memberships you find people here watching the wet floor. We're definitely going to have to get together and make some content. Some after stuff maybe.
Edge of World made a really interesting mistake. I've actually known people that have done that before too. Their worst mistake was didn't monitor water temperature during water change, and killed a few fish. The temperature out of the tap is different in the summer than the winter. That is a very good point to review 100% when there's seasonal changes.
Absolutely, especially right now. We're in this heat dome. I was talking about that today on my TikTok, that this heat dome has really made the groundwater temperature really warm. And so if you're going to do a water change, you got to be careful. Let that water run a little bit if you have to.
I like that question.
Put it in a storage tank if you are so able to do that. But be careful of that. You don't want to overtemp the water. It is an easy mistake to make, especially now. It's summertime. It's hot.
Wow,
I like that question.
We had the winter this year. This is something I learned. You can't will your fish to be warm enough. I live in South Florida, and I have a couple heaters now, but they're space heaters for the room, and then I actually have a couple tank heaters. I learned the hard way this winter. And it didn't. And when it started warming up and stuff started getting warmer, I lost really a lot of fish this year. It was kind of a bum deal. I'll address that this winter here. I'm actually ready for it. So
yeah,
I like that question that George put up just now, and it went away. I don't know where it went. Where it says, "What's one piece of aquarium advice you wish would disappear from the internet?" Anybody?
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Anybody in the chat?
Is Reddit count? Can Reddit be like
Reddit go away?
Like Reddit in general. You guys, I say that's one of my main sources. I go to specific places and talk to specific people there, but I mean that. I feel that I think the same way about Reddit as the way you talk about the beginner groups on Facebook, Tina, when we talk. Mm-hmm. So we all have our little spot like that.
Right.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started the internet. Ah!
I don't know. I think one thing that I'd like for advice to disappear from the internet is I would like people to stop focusing so heavy on water changes every week. And I don't mean it in a way that the tank doesn't deserve it, and especially certain tanks like cichlid tanks or goldfish tanks or stuff like that. But I think that the way that it's presented to people, it's a piece of advice I would wish they would stop, because they make it out to be like, if you don't do this at all, your fish are all going to die. And it's like, no, or it's not going to, it's got to control the algae problem you have, or it's got to control the plant growth problem you have, or it's got to control the ammonia problem you have. It's like water change isn't always the end all be all to everything in a fish tank. At least that's my thoughts. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Anthony says, for me, it's that you should use natural rocks only in the tank. To me, the very best African cichlid rocks are Texas Holy Rock and Utah Lace Rock. Neither are neutral. Both buffer your tank perfectly. It's very, very true. It just levels them out nice. And both of those just keep it at the same level, too. You can't get too high.
Rocks that I can never find by my LFS, actually. Neither of those rocks for some reason. They never have those two rocks.
Texas Holy Rock you can't really have anymore unless you have a friend in Texas or you just go to Texas.
Yeah, I don't get that in my LFS at all.
Yeah.
I'm reading with somebody else where misnomer algae is bad. Misnomer algae is bad?
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. Yeah, that algae is bad. The
misnomer.
Yeah, the misnomer that algae is bad. Algae is not bad. Algae means you can sustain some life in the tank, you know? So doesn't mean you're 100% ready, but it does mean that things are going in the right direction, right? But yeah.
But then a lot of people always say change your water because of your algae problem. And it's like, well, algae is a symptom to a problem. So
exactly,
changing the water is not really going to do anything for that.
There's a lot of other things you got to do, right? So,
right. And algae is not inherently bad. Now, if it takes over your entire tank, it depends.
That's a different story.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that comment from Edge. I think that definitely is something that should also be erased from the internet.
Mm-hmm. I like somebody else said that you need to have a pleco to get rid of algae. I don't know who said it. It was Nathan said, if you have a pleco, you'll get rid of algae. Sorry, it's scrolled on me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if you have algae, throw a pleco in the tank. Yeah, no.
You guys, this is
a dirtier tank.
Hugely loaded topic here because we're starting to run out of time too. You guys realize that? We're just sitting up here chatting away and talking.
I'm like looking at everybody's like what they're commenting, and I'm like,
I have been too. We get sidetracked on that. Get us back on track here, Tina, so we can get ready to wrap this up and let these fine folks go on with their day.
We should.
If you have pizza, I'll stay.
I mean, somebody's got to keep us. Somebody's got to keep us in check here. The key of life, algae is yes. I like algae. All the back of my tanks have algae on them, or as many as.
All right, we'll do one final question. Matter of fact, I'm going to copy it into the chat too, and we'll just do one final question to everybody. I'll just paste it. You'll all see it in the chat in a second. And it's basically someone tells you, but the internet told me to do it. What's the first question that you're going to ask them?
Who on the internet told you?
Definitely who.
If it's Uncle Joe,
and where'd you go?
Or that guy you can trust, you know.
I always just ask people if they're getting their information off of Facebook. Usually if they say they looked on the internet, I'm like, are you on like Facebook groups? Or maybe even I default to you're not looking at the top of your screen, the AI answer. You know, I believe that the AI answers for some of it can be right if you look at the links and the references. I mean, you still have to do your due diligence, so I guess it can be also wrong. So I just.
What about you, George? If someone comes up to you and said, you know what, the internet told me to do it this way, like, what would you ask them?
Oh, I'll tell them to do it that way then.
Why
are you asking me?
Why are you fishing? Are you fishing?
Are you telling me or are you asking me? That's what I'm.
Are you looking for the answer? Me to tell you what you want to hear?
Yeah. Are you asking me or are you telling me? Because if you're telling me, then go do it.
Go you do you, boo boo.
For sure.
I hate doing that though. I want to always try to be helpful. Like
I have to really go.
My
I really
God.
try not to roll my eyes when somebody says, "Well, ChatGPT told me." I'm like, "Oh my God, really?"
It's like ChatGPT. I have a relationship with ChatGPT too, but I don't trust everything. I
My
don't know.
gosh.
Maybe it's our generation. I think our generation just questions everything.
Oh
My
my
opinion.
gosh. There's so
Yes.
much. The internet can just pretty much just be all the way done as far as I'm concerned. I have enough people now that I trust that I can get good information. I still have a lot of my books and magazines too. So
So
it's
where do we
absolutely
send people?
crazy.
What do we tell them? Where do they go? What do they do?
Talk to
What's
us.
that?
Where do we tell people to go? I'm a newbie. I don't know what to do. Where do I go? What do I do?
I like to defer people to aquarium co-op forums a lot because
Me too.
it's moderated very well too. And
It is.
I feel the type of people, if when there's stuff that's not right in there, people are nice to correct them, and usually it's people that they're learning too, and they're it's a great place.
Yep.
I really like that. I would like us to be a reliable source for information, and we're in the works on working on that too. Really reliable sources are any, published science papers and stuff. I like those, but that's pretty hard for a lot of people to get into it and to be able to read.
When newbies come into the store and they're like, "Where can I go? What can I do?" I usually send them to one of three to four channels. Usually it's the Aquarium Co-op. And because we're also an Aquarium Co-op retail partner, we chose that because I liked what they did. I learned a lot from them early on, about things. So that's probably my primary place I send people is Aquarium Co-op, and you can learn a lot from there. But that's not the only place. There's a few other places out there. I don't want to give out channel names. You want to message me, I'm happy to give you out channel names. But there's people that I can reach out to locally that have answers. I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of good fishy people out there that can answer questions for us. So.
And also, if you do live local to a really good aquatic store, local fish store, you could probably definitely get some answers from some of them as well, especially if it's a really good store. So I would always look for that as well. Personally, I have two that I shop frequently here, and they're really great stores. And the owner is awesome. Can always come there with a question. He's not there to sell me product, and I just like that. So, and as Jody always says, is even fish clubs, which I wish I had a fish club nearby me, but I don't.
Don't even get me started because you can have a fish club nearby.
I know.
So
One person.
What do you guys have going on here coming up this week? Anything exciting and new and fun?
Fish Day, baby. Fish Day is right around the corner. Yep. So we get fish on Friday. Actually, we get some fish in the morning, 6 a.m. So we'll be getting those put away. New plant tanks are coming. And new racks are coming. So that's what we've got coming.
You guys can scan that QR code to get more information on Ray and his store up there in the corner. So, it's right up, I think up there or up there. It's over there.
That way.
On my screen, it's on the other side. So yeah. I got to remember that we're flipped around.
And you can also come in the chat in the morning. I'm live on TikTok every morning from 6 to 7:30-ish. I say 6-ish to 7:30-ish. At Fins for Grins too. Come on in, chat, fish, ask questions, see some cool fish, and love to have you guys come in the room.
It's a 100%. Banging pet shop too. How about you, Miss Tina?
I am now tending to new angelfish babies this week. I also am going to be doing my coffee live on Sunday morning. I am going to start at 7 in the morning. I was going to change it to 8 because I noticed a lot of people like to sleep in, but I'll probably still start it at 7 on TikTok. And then I usually do coffee and live with my fishies. And I'll show everybody new eggs that are here. Actually, there might be wigglers by the time I go on Sunday, and hopefully they don't get eaten by Sunday. And then everybody can see my little angelfish babies that we got going on again, round 2, 2.0.
Right on. Coffee in the morning is fun with you. There are not very many people on there at 7 o'clock. So any of you in the chat that want to come on and you're just waking up, it's a good time to have coffee with Tina. She's still kind of mumbling. It takes her a little while to get fired up.
She's so
It's a
quiet
good
in the morning.
time, though. It is.
I like-
It's a good time. It's a good time.
Yes.
George,
I like
how about
my
you?
coffee.
There's George's socials up there. What do you got going on this week, buddy?
Not much. I got to work a bunch of overtime, so and then I'm working graveyards at that, so I don't have anything
man.
planned. Not until next week. I've got a guest coming on for one of my Mexicalian podcasts, and that's pretty much it. I've kind of been slacking, to be honest. I did a little live stream on Monday. I hadn't done anything in a while on my channel. My problem is I don't schedule a whole lot because my work schedule is so weird. I'm more of spontaneous, or if I have something that I know I'm going to do, I'll try to announce it in advance. So just kind of keep an eye for the posts that come up when I'll have something. I try to give, like with the interviews or the plugs that I do, at least 2 days advance notice, so that people that might be interested in coming can join me for the live stream. But I'm right now, to me, I'm on the opposite of the rest of the country. Summer times is the slow time for me, whereas winter is usually the busy time for me, where I know everybody else is kind of usually snowed in or doing other stuff. So I'm on the opposite spectrum of activity.
Busy as usual. Now we're taking up all your free time too, so now you're really gonna have to be spontaneous. So I'm just sitting here grinding away at the shed. I don't have anything exciting. It's the 5th weekend, and you know what's really exciting about the 5th weekend for me anyways? I do a lot of fish club stuff. You guys, everyone go out and join your local fish club. If you don't have one, you can start one. It's the 5th weekend. We do not have any fish club this weekend, so I'm off. I'll be working on the website. Any of you guys want to impulse shop on the internet, there's a good spot right up there. I thank everybody so very much. But tonight, you guys, wasn't about telling you not to trust the internet. The internet has given us all, the entire hobby, access to more people, experiences, information, more than we've ever had before. Some of it good, some of it bad. The most important part is learning how to use it and use it properly. Things, what to trust and what not to trust. Ask questions. Don't feel bad or be embarrassed. Ask why. Look for context and reason behind things. Don't excuse the popular guy on YouTube with actual real-time experience, because when somebody gives you a complete answer to a lot of things, it just kind of raises questions to me in my mind, because there are just so many different ways to do it. And maybe I look at that wrong. Some people scream that there's just a solid science to it, and I don't really know. I think it just depends. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in again one more time. I want to put a big shout out to our sponsor, Brian, and the staff over at Discount Pet in Cape Coral. How you doing, Ray? You guys want to go and stop by and see Brian there at Discount Pet, you can. Feel free. Tell him we sent you here from the wet floor. And you guys, everyone, thank you for being a part of this with us. We really appreciate you. You guys go join a fish club. Good night. Thanks from the wet floor.
Bye-bye.